February 1945, the Battle of Iwo Jima erupts, a savage 36-day clash that etched itself into the annals of World War II's Pacific theater. This wasn't just a fight, it became Marine Corps legend, a brutal proving ground where 70,000 Marines and 45,000 sailors squared off against 20,000 Japanese, dug deep into the volcanic ash. The battle was costly, nearly 7,000 Marines dead, 26,000 casualties, a gut-wrenching 35% toll. The Navy also suffered with 872 killed and 2,789 casualties. Of the 20,000 Japanese defenders, only 216 staggered out alive. The rest battled to their final breath. From this blood-soaked rock, the Marine Corps forged a legacy, resonating through time to this day. Today we plunge into Iwo Jima, its chaos, its cost, and why it is the linchpin in America's Pacific War against Japan. I'm Ryan Sahlberg, a retired Marine Corps infantry officer and combat veteran with service in both Afghanistan and Iraq. My passion for history has driven me to study it for decades, starting at the Citadel, where I graduated with a BA in history, and that journey continues to this day. August 10th, 1944, the United States seized the Mariana Islands from Japan's grasp. Saipan, Tinian, and Guam locked down tight. These weren't just meaningless conquests, they were the Pacific's crossroads, halfway between Hawaii and Japan's mainland, 1,500 miles from Tokyo's heart. The US now had airfields for B-29 Superfortress bombers that could hit Japan's mainland, unleashing long-range hell, 1 million tons of bombs by war's end, scorching cities and cracking resolve. However, the long-range mission still proved to be costly. So America set their sights on their next target, Iwo Jima. Picture it, 625 nautical miles north of Saipan, 660 nautical miles south of Tokyo, a tiny island south and west of the Marianas' Tokyo midpoint. Iwo Jima stretches 4.6 miles along its northeast-northwest spine, its width flexing from 2.5 miles to a mere half mile at Suribachi's volcanic base, just 7.5 square miles of ashen rock. Japan's fighters swarmed from its airfields, slashing at B-29s roaring from the Marianas. Every downed plane, a significant loss. Iwo was no mere island. It was a lifeline. Seize it, and those runways turned into emergency pads. 2,400 B-29s would land there by August, saving 25,000 souls. Better yet, P-51 Mustangs could launch from Iwo, protecting bombers as they dropped 100,000 tons of bombs, breaking Japan's spirit. It was a cornerstone of the U.S. Pacific strategy. The die was cast, the target set. Operation Detachment took aim February 3rd, Iwo Jima's reckoning. Let's set the stage for this showdown, starting with the Japanese Empire. Early 1944, the U.S. storms the Marshall Islands, a wake-up call that jolts the Imperial headquarters. The Marianas Carolines Line, their Pacific bulwark, is now threatened by America. By March, Japan scrambles ashore at defenses. The 31st Army stands up on Saipan, tasked with holding the region, while Chichijima's fortress commander takes the reins of all volcano-bound forces, Army and Navy alike. That spring, March and April, Iwo Jima's buildup kicks into gear. Reinforcements trickle onto its ash-choked shores. But the storm's brewing, and for Japan, the horizon darkens fast. June clashes in, the U.S. assaults Saipan, shredding the 31st Army's headquarters. The island falls, a gut punch forcing Japan to rethink everything. By month's end, the 109th Infantry Division rises from the chaos, headquartered on Iwo Jima, its new headquarters against the American tide. Japan doubles down on Iwo Jima. Its airfields are too precious to lose. Through 1944, the buildup grinds on. No small feat under relentless pressure. By August, the Americans are hammering Iwo, a prelude to the storm. By October, the onslaught escalates. B-29 bombers and carrier strikes pound the island. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy tightens the noose. Submarines prowl the depths, and surface ships patrol the waters, cutting off Japan's supply veins. Resupply dwindles, reinforcements fade, yet Japan claws together a force. By February 1945, Iwo has 20,000 to 22,000 troops. 18,000 Army, and 2,000 to 3,000 Navy, all under the command of Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi, a veteran of China's killing fields. The key units that make up the 109th Infantry Division are Major General Sadusu Senda's 2nd Mixed Brigade, Colonel Masuo Akida's 145th Infantry, Major Tamachi Fujiwara's 3rd Battalion, 17th Mixed Infantry, and Colonel Kato's Brigade Artillery Group. Rear Admiral Toshinasuke Ishimaru, a naval airman, leading the naval contingent. The arsenal they have assembled on Iwo Jima includes 361 artillery pieces, howitzers and field guns, 200 mortars, 70 anti-tank guns, 15 coastal cannons, 150 anti-aircraft guns, and 20 tanks, dug in like steel traps. Months of work carve out over 11 miles of tunnels, caves, pillboxes, and minefields. Numbers favor the U.S., but cracking Iwo would be a nightmare. Japan vowed to fight to the last man. By January, Kuribayashi modified his defensive concept. Traditional doctrine, counterattacks on the beachhead, banzai charges, got thrown out the window. He crafts a new playbook, tailored to Iwo's jagged soul. Strong, interlocking defenses, no grand counterattacks, and no retreats. Mount Suribachi, a 546-foot volcanic mountain, looms as his crown jewel fortified to the hilt, its gaze raking the island. His main defensive line stretches northwest to southeast, a belt of bunkers and caves, layered deep, feeding off Iwo's brutal terrain, hills, ridges, ash fields that will turn the island into a meat grinder. For the United States, overall strategic command fell under Admiral Chester Nimitz, the Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Ocean areas, mastermind of America's Pacific campaign. Beneath him was the Naval Fifth Fleet, led by Admiral Raymond Spruance, steering 800 ships toward Iwo Jima's shores. Vice Admiral Richmond Kelly Turner took the operational helm, commanding Task Force 51, and leading the Marines at the operational level would be none other than Lieutenant General Holland M. Howland Mad Smith, commander of Fleet Marine Force Pacific. His pick for tactical command was Major General Harry Schmidt, commanding general of 5th Amphibious Corps, a recent division commander on Saipan. Schmidt had 3 divisions under his command: Major General Clifton Cates' 4th Marine Division, with the 23rd, 24th, and 25th Marine Regiments; Major General Keller E. Rocky's 5th Marine Division, with the 26th, 27th, and 28th Marine Regiments; and Major General Graves Erskine's 3rd Marine Division, with the 9th and 21st Marine Regiments held in reserve. Supporting the Marine Forces, Vice Admiral Mark Mitcher's Task Force 58 brought carrier power, while Rear Admiral Rogers Task Force 54 delivered powerful battleships. Rear Admiral William Blandy's Task Force 52 was the amphibious support force, with minesweepers and demolition teams clearing the path. Iwo Jima had been under fire since June 1944, a relentless prelude of bombs that escalated in August with regular airstrikes, the longest, fiercest campaign of the Pacific War. Now, pre-invasion planning loomed. The Marines demanded 10 days of naval bombardment. Tarawa, Saipan, and Peleliu had taught them bitter lessons. Short barrages turned beaches into slaughterhouses. But the Navy, committed to other operations, countered with 3 days. Months of airstrikes, they argued, had already softened the island. The Marines objected. 3 days wouldn't cut it, but the die was cast. At H hour, the 4th and 5th Marine Divisions would storm abreast on Iwo's southeast beaches, 5th on the left and the 4th on the right. The 28th Marines on the left flank would turn left, isolating Mount Suribachi, then capturing the mountain. The 27th Marines would slice across Iwo's narrow neck, pivot northeast, and seize the 01 line. The 4th Marine Division's 23rd Marines would charge Madoyama Airfield No. 1, swing northeast to clear part of Airfield No. 2, while the 25th Marines, anchoring the right, would aid the airfield seizure, take Beach Blue 2, and claim their part of 01. The invasion stretched across 2 miles of ash beaches, running from southwest to northeast. Green Beach for the 28th Marines, Red Beaches 1 and 2 for the 27th, Yellow Beaches 1 and 2 for the 23rd, Blue Beach 1 for the 25th, and Blue Beach 2 for the 24th. The plan was set. Marines were ready. Operation Detachment poised to seize Iwo Jima. February 16, 1945. The U.S. military unleashes a 3-day storm on Iwo Jima. relentless prelude to D-Day, February 19th. Operation Detachment's hammer falls, the 5th Fleet's might surging to soften Japan's defenses across 8 square miles of volcanic ash. Task Force 54, 6 battleships flanked by cruisers and destroyers, roars to life at 0700, hurling 21,000 shells at Mount Suribachi, Airfield No. 1, and coastal guns, a thunderous barrage of steel. At 0800, Task Force 58 joins the fray. 200 planes swelling to 300 sorties by the 17th, raining 1,500 tons of bombs, rockets screaming, Hellcats, 50 cals chewing through anti-aircraft nests and runways. February 17th and 18th, the naval bombardment holds. 600 tons of bombs on the second day alone, thousands of rockets, 100,000 rounds of strafing ammo shredding Iwo's surface. The toll? 2,000 to 4,000 Japanese dead, approximately 100 artillery pieces and 75 anti-aircraft guns battered or silent, airfields cratered beyond use. And yet, beneath the chaos, 11 miles of tunnels shield Koribayashi's core. His defense is bloodied but unbroken, waiting. On February 19th, H-hour set for 0900. The first waves hit Iwo Jima beaches at 0902. On the left flank is the 5th Marine Division, with Colonel Harry Liversedge's 28th Marines crashing onto Green Beach. 1st Battalion 28th Marines charging ahead to carve a path towards Suribachi's base. Nearby, the 27th Marines under Colonel Thomas Warnham hit Red Beaches 1 and 2. 1st Battalion takes Red 1 while 3rd Battalion takes Red 2, plunging inland through ash and grit. To the right, the 4th Marine Division unleashes its fury. The 23rd Marines strike Yellow Beaches, 1st Battalion on Yellow 1 and 3rd Battalion on Yellow 2, eyes locked on the airfield. The 25th Marines land on Blue Beach 1, veering right towards the jagged cliffs. Volcanic ash claws at the Amtraks, some grind to a halt 10 to 20 yards offshore, trapped in the black sand, a silent threat to the assault. At first, the beaches are eerily calm, light sporadic mortar and small arms fire. Was the bombardment that effective? Or were reports on enemy strength inaccurate? Far from it. Beneath Iwo's scarred surface, Kuribayashi's legions waited, coiled in 11 miles of tunnels. There were guns pre-sight on every landing zone. Suribachi stood as a fortress, its arsenal poised to unleash hell. Shortly after hitting the beach, Japan's defense erupted. By 0905, the Marines are receiving heavy enemy fire. Mortars and artillery pound the shore, and by 9:30 the entire beach is under a relentless storm of steel. The first hurdle looms, a steep terrace just beyond the surf, blocking their fire's reach. Pushing past it, the Marines slam into a wall of machine gun fire, pillboxes, blockhouses, and caves, spitting death from every shadow. Chaos reigns along the waterline. LVTs shatter under fire, landing craft falter, jeeps and trucks sink into the soft, ashy sand. Amidst the chaos, the Marines push forward, and within 30 minutes, Marines suffer 500 casualties, blood soaking Iwo's ashy beaches. By 1000, the Marines capture the first terrace, but Japan's defensive fires only intensify. On the left flank, the 28th Marines continue their fight, with 1st Battalion surging west, slicing 700 yards across Iwo's narrow neck to sever Suribachi from the island's core, each step a brutal toll. By 9:35, 2nd Battalion 28th Marines storms ashore, swinging south to choke the volcano's base, and by noon, 2nd Battalion is pinned beneath a hail of shells. The cost for 2nd Battalion mounts fast. General Keller Rocky calls up the Reserve Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Shepard's 3rd Battalion 28th Marines. They get the order at 10:39, and by 13:06, they hit Green Beach under a roaring barrage, costing 3rd Battalion heavily. Their mission is to shore up the line and storm Suribachi with 2nd Battalion. Slow, grueling work. By 1400, Company C, 5th Tank Battalion, in direct support of the 28th Marines, hits the beach. However, they land at Red Beach 1 due to confusion during their landing. Soon after, 4 Shermans would be destroyed by anti-tank fire, but the survivors keep pushing, blasting bunkers to rubble. With Company E's aid, 1st Battalion 28th Marines secure the west shore, 700 yards 1, shifting to mop up pockets of resistance. The Company C tanks join the fray, reducing strong points. However, 4 more tanks are lost in the grind, and by 1600, the remaining Shermans roll south to bolster 228 and 328. At 1545, naval guns and air hammer Suribachi for a southern push. 28th Marines brace to strike, but Shepard's 3rd Battalion lags, pinned and battered, stalling the assault. By 1645, 2nd Battalion cannot wait any longer. They make their attack, supported by tanks, shells pounding the mountain's fortress. They claw 150 yards forward, but without 328's flank, a gap opens, and by 1730, the advance falters, gains slipping away as they fall back to link up with 3rd Battalion for the night. With the 28th Marines' day over, they dig in for the night, with the tanks supporting 300 yards back. They prepare for the worst, not knowing what the Japanese will do under darkness. While the 28th Marines were tied up with Mount Suribachi, the 27th Marines waged their own fierce struggle. Under Colonel Thomas Warnham, they stormed a 1,000-yard stretch, Red Beaches 1 and 2, 1st Battalion and 2nd Battalion hitting abreast at 0902. Chaos struck early as Company B of 1st Battalion veered 200 to 300 yards left of their mark, a tangled start in the ash. Like their brothers on Green Beach, they met a deceptive calm at first, but that calm shattered fast. Within minutes, Japanese guns roared, blanketing the Red Beaches with heavy fire. Undeterred, the 27th Marines surged forward, sidestepping pockets of defenders. 1st Battalion carved across Airfield's number 1's southern edge, digging in along its western fringe, while 2nd Battalion, keeping pace, drove west across the island's spine. Tanks from Company C, 5th Tank Battalion growled in support. By 9:30, their shells cracked Japanese strongpoints, crumbling bunkers in their path. 1st Battalion stalled northward, but 2nd Battalion pressed on, reaching the cliffs overlooking the west coast by 1500, a hard-won perch. At 11:30, the reserve was called in. 3rd Battalion, 27th Marines splashed ashore, behind 2nd Battalion, mopping up bypass strongpoints. By 1744, the 5th Marine Division stood firm ashore. Though the 01 line loomed distant, General Keller Rocky called a halt. His regiments consolidated as dusk set in. Suribachi lay isolated, the 28th Marines poised to strike at dawn. The 27th Marines, now hugging the western shore, braced to pivot north along the coast, their fight far from over. While the 27th and 28th Marines battled across Iwo's ash, the 26th Marine Regiment, 5th Marine Division's reserve, waited offshore, a coiled lifeline poised to bolster their brothers. It wasn't until 1730 that evening that they fully landed, surging ashore to the southern tip of Airfield Number 1, swiftly digging into defensive positions under dusk's fading light. Later, the 13th Marines, the division's artillery backbone, began their own trek to the beach. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Battalions waded through the surf, guns in tow. The 4th Battalion, tasked with general support, trailed as the final wave, touching down between 1930 and 2030, their barrels ready to anchor the night's fragile hold. As the 5th Marine Division waged a desperate fight on the left flank, the 4th Marine Division clashed in their own brutal storm on the right. The 23rd Marines anchored their left flank, tying in with the 5th Marine Division. 1st Battalion hit Yellow Beach 1 at 0902. 2nd Battalion hit Yellow 2, both driving for Airfield Number 1. Further east, 25th Marines struck Blue Beach 1, 1st and 3rd Battalions landing abreast. At first, the landings met little resistance, a deceptive calm mirroring the 5th Marine Division's start. But as they climbed the second terrace, Japan's guns roared, devastating fire rained from above, shredding the illusion. By 9:30, 1st Battalion had clawed 250 yards inland, only to stall under Airfield Number 1's barrage. 2nd Battalion matched the push, but buckled against mounting resistance. The 4th Tank Battalion rolled in to bolster them, but ash and enemy fire bogged them down, which added to the chaos. 1st Battalion, 23rd Marines pressed on, and by noon, they had 500 yards gained, just 200 yards shy of the airfield. Yet 2nd Battalion faltered, pinned by fierce opposition. Colonel Walter Wensinger called in his reserve. Major Robert Scales, 3rd Battalion, 23rd Marines, surged on to Yellow Beach 1. Their 81mm mortars blazing to relieve 2nd Battalion. By about 1400, 1st Battalion, 23rd Marines, supported by tanks, finally broke through, reaching Airfield Number 1. But anti-tank guns fought back, forcing a retreat behind the runway's edge. Wensinger shifted gears. 3rd Battalion swept through 1st Battalion, pressing the attack across the airfield. Bleeding heavily, they fought on. By 1700, the airfield's edges fell, and they dug in, battered but unbowed. As the 23rd Marines secured their objective, General Clifton Cates called up his reserve regiment, the 24th Marines. 1st Battalion attached to the 25th Marines, while 2nd Battalion hit Yellow Beach 1, racing inland to relieve a spent 2nd Battalion 23rd Marines. Meanwhile, on Blue Beach 1, the 25th Marines faced a major threat, the Quarry Cliffs overlooking the beach. 1st Battalion drove straight inland. 3rd Battalion swung northeast to clear Blue Beach 2 and envelop the high ground. By 1330, 1st Battalion claimed 600 yards, aligning east of the airfield. But 3rd Battalion's landing spiraled into chaos. Confusion reigned. Casualties piled high as tanks rolled in, prime targets for enemy guns unleashing hell. A 100-yard gap opened between the battalions. Colonel John Lanigan threw in Lieutenant Colonel Lewis Hudson's 2nd Battalion 25th Marines, landing at 1250 and pushing 300 yards to the assembly area. At 1400, the 25th Marines continued to push north. 3rd Battalion clawed 200 yards of the quarry, bogged under heavy fire, while 2nd Battalion seized the northwest ridge by 1745. Company L topping the quarry at 1830. All 3 battalions of the 25th Marines stood battered, with 3rd Battalion down to just 150 men, prompting Lanigan to tap 2 companies from 1st Battalion 24th Marines for relief. By 1900, the 24th Marines' last battalion hit Blue Beach 2. Every 4th Marine Division infantry unit now ashore, bracing for a Japanese counterstrike. As night set in, the Marines had secured Airfield No. 1's east edge and Blue Beaches, holding the beachhead firm as 14th Marines artillery rumbled in through the evening. As dusk bled into darkness, the Marines dug in, bracing for Japan's worst. D-Day's advance had stalled short of the 01 line, yet by nightfall, 6 infantry regiments, 6 artillery battalions, and 2 tank battalions stood firm, anchoring a fragile 700-yard beachhead against the counterattack they knew was coming. But the night defied their fears. No massive Japanese assault occurred. Instead, shadows flickered with limited infiltrations. 1st Battalion 28th Marines drove back a barge probing the west coast, but mostly, silence hung heavy, broken only by the relentless thud of mortars and artillery hammering their lines. Both divisions bore the day's scars, yet the 4th Marine Division bled deepest. 1st Battalion 23rd Marines hit hardest. Their CEO, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Haas, an operations officer killed by a single shell. By the day's end, the tally carved a grim mark: 2,420 casualties, 501 dead, 1,755 wounded, 18 missing, and 99 shattered by combat's unyielding strain. It was just D-Day, and the Marines' losses already loomed large. One truth burned clear: Japan wouldn't yield Iwo Jima without a fight to the last man. For the 5th Amphibious Corps, a long, brutal road stretched ahead to claim this volcanic prize. Join us next time as the Marines seize Mount Suribachi, seize the central airfields, and grind through the northern offensive and mop up the final resistance. If this dive into history gripped you, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales forged in fire. Thanks for watching.